Hello, good evening, and welcome to Off Track Small Talk. And tonight I'm going to be chatting to 216 Jack France, who is making his season debut at Bradford this coming Saturday. Evening, Jack.
Evening.
All right. Right, so we're going to release this off-track small talk episode on the back of Napa, who's your sponsors. They're going to do a press release with this, and we're going to sort of piggyback onto the back of that, which is something that we don't normally do, but it's absolutely the right thing to do in this case. Napa, like, it's a massive name in motorsport, and so how did that partnership come about?
It's a bit of a long story, really, but it sort of came from, we've got a close family friend, Ian, who is related to a bloke that works for Napa.
Okay.
And he'd been to a couple of meetings years ago when we were still racing at Bellevue, and watched a few meetings. And I didn't really know him personally. I didn't know he worked for Napa or anything. And he, a few years later, I think he got in contact with Ian as family friend again, and said, look, we're wanting to, when Bradford opened,
yeah,
and they were advertising advertising board. I think you could pay so much, and you all had a banner round track or whatever. Yeah. And he were on to him about that, and he said, look, why don't you put a name on a car? And he said, oh, I never really thought of that. Yeah. Anyway, he got talking about me and racing and how we were getting on and that, and he said, do you think Jack could sort of let us have it on his car? Obviously, I knew what Napa was, because I'd watched sprint cars and NASCAR. And so then when they came to me and said, look, the Napa want to put the name on it, I was like, ooh. I didn't really know what to say. Obviously, I said, yeah. But through, I've done a lot of karting. I started karting when I was 8, and through karting, you get a lot of people coming up to you, saying, oh, we want to sponsor you and this, that, and we'll buy you a set of tyres and that. And a lot of people, they talk a lot, so it sort of gets your hopes up, and then you get let down. So when they first said it, I sort of it never really sunk in. I was just like, yeah, no problem, just go along with it. And then the day came and they were actually like, right, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we want the car. And I was like, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
But it is quite unusual. I mean, most people that race on ovals and certainly Formula stock cars are supported by sponsors. That's how kind of people fund it. Yeah. And but it is quite unusual to have such a big name like Napa involved in stock cars.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's good for the sport as well. Like you're comparing it now to touring cars, as they're sponsoring the big touring car teams, and to have something like that sort of join into Formula One, it's quite a big thing for the sport as well. Not just me, it's big for the sport.
Yeah, it gives you more exposure, doesn't it? Because you're kind of getting you out there to a wider audience.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
They was it at Bradford back end last year? You had a couple of people from Napa there watching the racing.
Yeah, they came and they got Bradford's a good place because you can get the hospitality boxes, and food and drink and whatnot. And a lot of people from there have never been to stock cars. They don't know what it is, but they just wanted a night out, basically. And we sort of put it to them, look, you can get these boxes and whatnot. And they were all really up for it. They got a bit of food and had a few bottles of Prosecco, I think, because they definitely want walk in same direction as when they got there.
So what did they think? If a lot of them had never seen stock cars before, what was their view on it?
They loved it. Absolutely loved it. There were a few people that actually worked for Napa, but Napa then brought some customers of theirs, and they absolutely loved it. I think they still come, even today, they message me like, oh, when you're racing again, we want to come up to Bradford. And so, yeah, they loved it. They're coming on Saturday, actually. They've got a box on Saturday, I think.
Okay.
No pressure.
No pressure. No. You mentioned Bradford a couple of times. You were quite integral in getting Bradford up and running. Knowing it was coming back, and you kind of spent a bit of time helping supporting Steve Reese, didn't you, to get Bradford?
Yeah, it's sort of literally 2 miles up the road from us, so it would have been maybe ignorant not to help.
Yeah.
So when Steve were getting it going, I said to him, look, if this is what we can, these are the like concreting and groundworks and whatnot, and these are things that we can do if you get stuck. And then I think it was a few weeks later, he said, look, I need this doing, and So we just went up and helped him really, and it sort of helped him get it going. And there were Frank and a lot of other people. Don't get me wrong, there were a lot of people always up there, you know, putting a bit in to try and get it up there, and they've done it, and it'll be a good place. Now, Graham and Russell, they've some good plans for it. It'll be a good place.
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly like for the north, it's a fantastic venue to have, because it is a hotbed of stock car racing, as it always has been, and it's to this day, and you need that like northern venue, don't you?
Yeah, that's it, and it's a big stadium as well. You know, if you could fill that place, well, it'd be some spot, wouldn't it? Like, you know, when we did World Final there, and there were a lot of people there, and I was lucky enough to get on grid. I didn't do right much in World Final, but I was lucky enough to get on grid. And when you're sort of in the bottom of the hole on the track, and you look up and there's all them people, it's you know, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to talk about 2023 and your plans and your cars. But before we do that, if we just have a quick look back at the season of 2022, were you happy with the year? Did it kind of go how you wanted it?
It started off good, yeah. We got a few good results. I think we got a win or 2 wins at the beginning of the season, and then it just started to get bad luck. It was like punctures, gearboxes, diffs, half shafts. It all seemed to come at once, and then carried on. We'd spend every night in garage. We still do now. Every night in garage, going through a car a million times. You know, just because obviously when you've got Napa on your back as well, don't get me wrong, they don't put me under no pressure whatsoever. They're happy with what we do, and they know we try, but it sort of weights you down a little bit.
Yeah.
But especially when it's so, you know, it's such a big name, and it sort of started to get a bit on top of me. And then, like, back end of the season, we got a little bit more good luck we wrecked it once at Bradford. We had, I think it was Daniel Ford.
Yeah.
And on top of us, took top of engine off, ended up in my cab, and we're just like, man, when's this going to end?
Yeah.
And then it was sort of after that, with me, my dad, my brother, and all the lads that helped, we probably put our heads together and said, look, we're just going out now to learn more or less, you know. So last year was more of I learned a lot. Maybe we didn't get results that we would have wanted, but I've learned more about myself and driving, and the car as well. And we've updated it a lot for this year to suit me.
Yeah, because I think people potentially might forget. I mean, your dad obviously raced quite a while ago, but you haven't been in Formula One a huge amount of time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
to it in some senses.
Like I think when people see my name, they obviously think, well, it's because of my dad. He's been in it years, but I don't think everybody realises when my dad raced, I wasn't born, and the year I was born, my dad stopped. So I'd never really been anywhere near stock cars. Obviously, growing up, I've seen pictures and videos and stuff, you know, that he's done. So yeah, I think is it 6 or 7 years?
Yeah, I reckon it's roughly about that. Yeah.
And like my first 2 years, we got his own car, and it sort of, when you're new to it, it takes you two years to sort of build everything up. You know, your equipment, how to drive them, how to set them up, and I had people help me. Joe Boothie helped me a hell of a lot when I first started. He used to come up to the garage and help, but so 2 years of that basic we're learning. I'm still learning now, but you know, you can easily write two years of them off. You know, learning a lot about it.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we've learned, and we're now looking at 2023. So I think, as people have seen in a minute, it does look like you're having a good go at this season.
Yeah, we've sort of back end of last year, we decided, look, we're devoting ourselves to it now and doing it properly with Napa, or are we just going to carry on, plod along, and do our own meetings? It's still a hobby, but maybe look at it more of a hobby to just carry on plodding on as we were last year, or I'm a very competitive person, and I always want to do the best. Yeah. So we said, like, this year we're 100% devoting ourselves to it. We're doing it.
Yeah. I think it's a great opportunity for people to see what you are going to be racing this year. So if you want to introduce your cars for this season, Jack.
Yep. So this year here's my 2 cars for this year.
Jack, the cars look absolutely stunning, and clearly you've got 2 cars for this year, one for Shale, one for Tarmac. So if we just take the Shale car first, I'm guessing it's a refurb, but I think it does look very different. Certainly the down bars.
Yeah, we it's a complete refurb of it. When we first started doing it, I wanted something a little different. You look at a lot of people's cars now, these top drivers that are bringing cars out, Tom, Ryan, Lee, they're all bringing these cars out, and there's always something a little different about them. And I sort of wanted to make that one my own, and so we've made it look a little different. Yeah.
It looks really good. It's really good. Very striking. Have you done all the work yourself? Like your team, have you kind of done that?
Majority of it, yeah. Lee and Derek have helped us out massively with panel work. I can do the steel work, no problem. That's fine. But when it comes to panels, we had to go ourselves. And I had a picture in my head what I wanted it to look like. And me and lads in garage, we cobbled some panels together, and it just didn't look how I wanted it to look. So yeah, we rang Derek, and he said, "Look, I think he understands. We do put a lot of time and effort into it." And he said, "Look, bring it up, and we'll help you out a little bit." So I sort of described to him what I wanted, but it's hard to describe to somebody that obviously doesn't see what you see, of how you want it. But he did, and he pulled it off, and he's made an amazing job of panel work.
Yeah. So was Lee taking the mick out of you a bit when you kind of showed him what you'd done, and then what you actually, when you described what you wanted to be done?
Yeah, I put some panels on it and stuff, and he called up. He sometimes brings his little lad up to the farm, and he went to garage, and he was just like, "Just bring it up next week."
Was that the polite
That,
version?
I think he's actually managed to use 2 or 3 of the panels, you know, and sort them out a little bit. But yeah, paneling's not my forte, really.
Like I say, the Shale car absolutely stunning, and does look different, and like I say, it is your own certainly. So moving on to the Tarmac car then. So something that's different for you this year. You've always kind of stuck to Shale. I know you and I have spoken previously about, you know, your background is karting, so probably Tarmac is a bit more, I guess, what you're used to. So we've kind of gone down the Tarmac route as well.
Yeah, I did. Again, I was lucky enough a few years ago. Dave Duran's let me use his Tarmac car, and we went to Skegness, and I think I got third in final and won national.
Yeah,
from Yellow, and so sort of for his first time on Tarmac. Previous to this, we'd done a couple of semi-finals in a Shale car on Tarmac, but when you go try and take a Shale car on Tarmac and then you go and race a Tarmac car, you soon realise the difference in them, you know. So anyway, I was lucky enough to use his car, and we got a couple of good results. We went over to Holland. I think we got a 6 over there. You know, and I really enjoyed it. And it's sort of, like you said, coming from a karting background, it's sort of easier for me to pick that up. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing Tarmac this year.
And the Tarmac car's not brand new, is it? It's one you've bought.
No, yeah, it's. I think a lot of people will probably know it more as Dan Johnson's old car. I think it was black. I think it started off black and then it went orange, and then when he gave up, Harrison Utley bought it.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was quite bent, so then it went to Lee's. It's had a good straighten up, a lot of work done on it, and then obviously I mentioned to Lee that I was trying to get into Tarmac, but unless you've got a good budget, maybe of, I don't know, from 50 to 40 grand, you know, it's hard to find that money to put into a Tarmac car. So he said, look, this is maybe your cheapest way of doing it, and I've got this car, and I think this year we ain't got an engine for it, but I think this year we're just gonna, looking at the calendar, we'll probably swap the engine out the Shale car into the Tarmac car. It's not ideal, but I think it's the only way we're going to be able to make it work this year. And I think to replace the engine that we could put in it from the Shale car would maybe cost, 20 grand, to match that engine. So why would we buy something for less? If you know what I mean, I could put that engine in and it'd be a better engine than one I could go spend 7 or 8 grand on, and would have a good engine still sat in Shale car. But you're like, we might as well just put a little bit of hard work in and swap it over. Yeah.
And is that something you think is going to, obviously the practicality of it is from a monetary point of view and going out like you described. Do you think it will be something that you could kind of pick and choose your meetings a little bit more than this year?
Yeah, that's it. That's the only reason really that we missed Kings Lynn on Saturday, because I'm trying to sort of get us way more to the top of the field by doing the meetings that count more, if you know what I mean, rather than just having a Shale car and doing all the Shale meetings, whereas, like I said, you might only do 40% of them, and the rest are just sort of, I wouldn't say nothing meetings, but, they're not for qualifying points and stuff like that. We want to aim really to do more qualifying rounds, on both surfaces and try and do it that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Makes sense. So if we look at, I guess, 2023, you've got 2 cars at your disposal, and you've kind of gone through how you plan to deal with the season itself. What are your plans then in terms of aspiration and goals? I mean, you've been up to Reds, is it that I want to be back to Red? Do you want to be what is it you want to do this year?
I want to win. I want to be at the top.
That's good.
I'd like to get definitely at the least back up to Red.
Yeah.
I think in maybe a bigger picture, I'd like to be fighting for championships. With the time and effort that the lads put in garage, and me and my dad, and full family, we all put every spare minute that we've got into racing. So yeah, I think we could, give it a bit of luck and a bit more hard work, I'd like to fight for championships.
Yeah. Good, good. And we start on Saturday at Bradford. Fingers crossed the weather plays nice and it doesn't like rain. But I mean, it's looking like a great meeting, and your stock certainly are putting a bit of, extra money into it this year with their track championships.
Yeah, Graham and Russell, they want that place to work just as much as everybody else, and they will 100% do everything they can to make sure it does work. Even just like stuff, they do a little extra than other meetings. They'll put some extra on at the beginning of the meeting for a crowd, and it's that place can only go in one direction, and I definitely can't see it going backwards. It's got to go forward.
Yeah. Good, good. Jack, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to talk us through 2023 and sharing your cars with us. Good luck on Saturday, and I'll see you at Bradford.
No problem. Thank you.